regression is the line that's all up in the Kool-Aid. These are my dots. This is my line of best fit or line of linear regression. And I want to know which of these lines match up with the equation. So I told you that these lines are y equals mx plus b. Okay? This, you have two things that we filled up in there. They called it y equals ax plus b. In algebra, you call it m and b. In the calculator, they call it a and b. Okay? This number, if it is positive, that tells me it goes uphill. If it is negative, that tells me it goes downhill. So that first number can tell me, like, this tells me that this is a line that goes downhill. It's called the slope. This is slope-intercept form. This tells me that it goes downhill. This tells me it goes uphill. This one goes uphill. This one goes downhill. Okay? The last number tells me where my line touches the y-axis. Okay? For example, if I extend this line, that would be my B, that number. So, this touches about at what number?
30.
A little less than 30? So that would be my B. So which number would go with that one? This one. So this one is number 16. Because this is telling me it goes downhill, and this is telling me it crosses the y-axis at 27. You with me? Draw a line here. All right. Look at.
If you forget about the positive and negative, you just figure out that last one.
Uh-huh.
Then you got your answer.
So, if I draw this, now we have two that cross at 20 something. We have two that cross between, look at 13 and look at 14. They both cross about 21. But this one's going which way? Downhill, which means it has a negative slope. So this one's going to be, bless you, this one's going to be number 13 because it's going downhill and crosses the y-axis at 21. All right, let's look at this one. If I draw this, this one is uphill and crosses around 20. So what number is this one going to be?
14.
This one's going to be number 14. And if I draw this one is uphill and crosses around 10-ish.
15.
So this one is going to be number 15. So the first number is positive or negative. That tells uphill, downhill. The second number tells me where it crosses the line. Easy? All right, let's add a little more to it. All right, this is telling you what I just said, that, let me get my highlighter, that the regression line, also known as line of best fit, also known as the least squares line, that if you have a bunch of dots, which is your scatter plot, that your line of best fit or your line of regression or your line of least squares is the line that best represents those dots. And we write that line as y equals ax plus b. Now sometimes they write it as just y equals ax plus b. Sometimes they put a little hat on it, which is like an upside down v. That means that this is a predicted line. It's not an actual line, it's just a line to represent that data. So sometimes we do y equals ax plus b, and sometimes we do y hat equals ax plus b, which means it's not an actual line, it's just a pretend line. Cool? All right. And those are the steps. Okay. So, now we're going to go a little bit further. Let me move all of this down. I think we're going to do a full problem this time. From beginning to end. This one's pretty cool. Most of y'all probably didn't know, but a cricket chirps. The number of times a cricket chirps depends on the temperature outside.
Really?
The hotter it is, the more the cricket chirps. Crickets chirp a lot in the summertime, but you don't hear crickets chirp in the wintertime. That's stinking cool.
Who would have known?
I know. So, this is how many times a cricket chirps in a minute if it's 69 degrees. This is how many times a cricket chirps if it's 93 degrees. This is how many crickets it chirp. So we have all this data. You know, who sends out there and counts how many times a cricket chirps in a minute and what the temperature is. But we have this data. So, we need to go through first in Germex. Okay, y equals. Look at your black plot 1 and make sure everything's empty. Then, do second quit. Then, second catalog, clear table. And finally, stat edit. This is going to be your L1 and this is going to be your L2. And this will be the first time that we've done an actual entire problem. We're doing a fishbowl right now. Y'all don't turn around. There's like a whole group of high school people that are out in the hall just staring at us. I know. Alright, so we've done our Germex steps. Germex, stat, edit. And you're going to do this so much that you're not going to need that blue page. So we've cleaned ourselves, we've gotten dressed. Now we're going to do the Zoom 9, which is our look at me. So if I come back up here, I'm going to do my Zoom 9. Is that what y'all's look like?
No.
Nope.
Not at all.
Because you got 2 eggs in the house.
Uh-huh. The calculator. So I'm going to do stat edit. All right, and then I know 882. I got trigger happy. Then Zoom 9. So if you do make a mistake, amazing how one piece of data can screw it up. Okay, so it kind of looks very linear, but we're not sure how too linear it is. So I just looked at me. So after you look at me, what do you got to do? Stat calc. We got to work it out. So we're going to do stat calculate number 4 because we're doing linear regression, ax plus b. So if my math lab says I want an equation, this is where you would go to get the equation. And I have the steps down here. So we did that. We did the beginning steps. We entered the data. We zoomed 9. And we're just now finding the regression line. Okay? So my regression line, so this was step number, I'm going to use the steps they do. I'm going to call this number 2 because the first step was the
Program.
fixed calc, thank you. 3, 4, so this is 5, which was stat, calc, linear regression. All right, so that was step number 5. So in this step, we know that the equation of the line is going to be y equals 0.0523x plus 27.628. So y'all, we can now say, now that we know what this equation means, is my line going uphill or downhill? Uphill. And where does my line touch the y-axis? Around 2728. So if I draw this line, it is going uphill, and when it touches, it will touch about at 28. That's what that line is telling me, okay? So we just did number 5, which is where we've been stopping. Now we have 2 more steps. We ready? Now, this next step is what I call cutting and pasting. This is our cut and paste step. All right, this is where everybody screws up. It's not that hard, but you know when you're in Word and you want to copy something, like copy and paste it, you've got to go to where you want to put it.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me pull my calculator over and let's go through this. We're going to do several of them, so don't freak out on me yet. So the first thing we do is we go to y equals, because that's where we want to suck it over to. And y'all, what we're doing is we're taking this equation. We're taking y equals blah x plus blah. We're taking all of that and we're sucking that, we're copying and pasting that into the y equals 1 equation. Okay? So the first thing we do is we go to the y equals button. So go to your y equals button. This is the part of the date we haven't touched yet. We're getting a little bit further. We go to the y equals button. And we're going to take that equation from that other screen and we're going to suck it over here. Okay? So we first have to go to where we want to suck it over. Now, here's the order we're going to do it. We're going to hit the vars button. We hit the vars button because we're sucking over a variable equation. Oops, vars button. Then we go down to number 5 because we're sucking over a variable statistics equation. So vars number 5. Then we go over to EQ because it's an equation. And number 1 because it's a regression equation. This is linear regression. And when I hit enter, I just sucked all that over. Now, your calculator probably has it all on one line, so you just have to scroll over to see it. I made mine so that it's 2 lines so that you can see everything. So yours probably just says blah, 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 blah. But if you scroll over, you can see with the X plus the 27. Y'all with me?
Mine says 83508.
We go. Scroll over.
Mine ain't scrolling.
Hit the over button. To the right, to the right.
Oh, gosh.
You want me to slap you now or later?
It's been a long week.
I know, girl. Are we good?
My numbers are different.
You're good if you met. Okay. All right, so we go now to EQ because it's an equation. We go over to EQ and we're sucking over a regression equation, so we hit enter. We're going to do another one.
My numbers are different.
Okay, so we just did the copy and paste. So after we did all that work, y'all, After we did all that work, look at me. Do a Zoom 9. Do a Zoom 9 after you do all that.
Oh, snap. Yeah. Wow.
So now, when I do a Zoom 9, here's what the calculator is doing, y'all. Calculator's amazing.
Yeah. Thank you, Lord.
So, the calculator is pulling these points from my L1 and L2. It's pulling this line from my Y1. So it's pulling in from two different places. It's pulling in my data, and it's pulling in the predicted line from my Y1. Cool? Last thing. We want to make a prediction, and if we look back at the very beginning of the problem, all of these were chirps, and it says, what is the prediction if a cricket chirps 3,000 times? So if I came over here and said, what if it chirps 3,000 times, what would the temperature be? So if it chirps 3,000 times in a minute, what should the temperature be based on my data? Okay? So, it's like I want to make another thing right here. I want to put 3,000 here under the chirps,
And you want to
and I want to know my temperature. Cool? Watch this. In your calculator, you have a button called Table that does your little table for you. So, to get to it, it's in blue. So, you hit Second Table. This is the last step. Second table. Your X is like your L1. So what do you think we're going to put in there? 3,000, because your X or your L1 was our chirps.
And it gives you your temp.
And it gives you your temp.
That's amazing.
Now, it says, what is wrong with this predicted temperature?
It would never get that hot.
There you go. So, if I come down here, this is telling me, so I did second table, which is the graph button. So this is saying if 3,000 chirps in 1 minute, the temperature is 184.45 degrees.
That cricket would be big.
The problem is, problem, is it is not going to be that hot.
It all would be big.
Or cricket would be dead. And so what we usually do is we say we don't want to make predictions outside of what our data is. So if our data is between 800s and 1200s, we only want to predict between 800s and 1200s. We don't want to make a 3,000 prediction because it may not work. Like shoe sizes. We were doing that one with shoe sizes. We're not going to predict somebody with a 24 size shoe because it's not going to happen. Does that make sense? All right, let's try another one. This one is talking about tips and bills. You're going to do it from start to finish, and your last step is to find the best prediction for a dinner bill of $100. You've got a Germex, y'all, because we have gone all out on our date. We have touched every part of everything, so you better Germex. We going on dates in here, Leah. We got more people watching.
Wait till them smile.
I know, that's what I did. All right, make sure you Germex because we have touched every part of our bodies. We dating.
Well, sign it up.
I know, you took her class. She says it's boring in the testing room today. Is it gonna be boring in the testing room when y'all get out of class?
No. How many of y'all have to test still?
Oh, y'all,
I'm telling you, why y'all wait till the last minute?
It's hard.
We stir, man.
Hey, I was called a goat today by one of my students.
Better than a cow.
I said, gosh,
I'm all right.
they called me a goat. And they said, that's a good thing, Miss Cooper. It's a good thing. Greatest of all time.
Is that for real? Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Is that like a text thing, like the text GOAT?
No, they sent me a picture of a goat. He said, you're the goat. He said,
Hold on.
come here.
Now here's my question, all y'all.
They're going on a date.
If
right
I'm
now.
going on a date and a guy sends me a goat, is that like a compliment or like a guy should not send me a goat?
She's trying to find a man.
I am. I am. Mine left.
All right. You're the goat. But then it's
I would have been like, what the?
That's what I said. I said, y'all.
I would have increased it and been like, what is that thing? I can't see that without my
I
glasses.
said, MJ called me a goat. But then he has the 100 behind it. And I said, maybe
What's the 100 mean?
like 100%, like,
Totally, you're the goat, 100%.
yeah. So I knew it had to be like a good thing for him to say the 100 behind it.
You need to share that on Facebook.
I
Say,
am.
y'all, I'm the goat.
I am a goat.
Do it. I'll like it and love it and all that stuff.
Last night I shared that my family had a,
Spitball fight. I saw that. I was like, why didn't you invite me? You totally know I would have done that.
I made them clean off the spitballs, off the wall, off the table behind them.
Was it the straw paper? Straw
They
paper
were
makes really
doing
good spitballs.
napkins.
Straw paper's good, girl.
The little one tried to do straw paper, but it kept getting, she didn't have enough saliva because she was having to duck underneath the table, so then Jody kept going under the table after her.
Yeah. They were sweet pictures. It's worth having fun. Life's short, people.
We always have fun.
Life is short.
Yeah. Oh, and then the two girls, one of them said, she flipped me off. They're 12. She flipped me off. And then the little one said, no, I didn't. I did this. And I said, really? And my husband said, I will beat both of your behinds if you flip the other one off. And then my blonde daughter said, that's a Chinese middle finger. I said, what? And she said, yeah, Chinese have more fingers. And that's,
Oh my
I
word.
said,
Where'd she get that from? And
I
that's
said,
where'd you
we
get that
all have the same number of fingers, no matter.
from? What nationality we are?
I said, you're an idiot. And so my husband said, what if we're Chinese American? I don't know where she
Where was
heard
this at?
Hard.
We're video.
We saw it. I showed my cousin. Oh,
Got all that
My bad.
I mean,
Well, we've been talking about going on dates, and you got a Germex, and you got a,
At least you can cut it out if you really want to.
yeah,
Oh, God.
I am who I am. Everybody knows. Thank you, Amani.
So,
Everybody knows. I put on Facebook all the time, my daughter's an idiot. Oh, bless her heart. And the spitballs. The little ones couldn't get them spitty enough, and they kept getting stuck in the straw.
My boyfriend found this machine yesterday. It's like a gun, but not like a gun, but it's
Yeah.
the toilet paper on it, and then there's water in it, and then the toilet paper goes in the water, and then it shoots out giant spitballs.
My nephew got that.
Oh,
No way.
Is it doing that to
Why
us?
why did they even invent it?
I can't tell my husband he would buy it. My husband would never watch this though, but I can't tell him because he would buy it. Oh, my Lord. You never know what you're gonna get when you go out with our family.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
They probably sell special rechargeable toilet paper.
All right, so for this one, we're gonna go through all the steps. So I'm gonna do my Germex steps, which is my Y equals. Now watch y'all, we now have something in Y equals. My plot one is not black, but my Y equals has something in it. Okay, so I cleared that out. I did second quit, there's nothing there. I do second zero, I go down to clear table. And there is something in my table now, because that's when I did the 3,000. Okay, I clear table. And then now I do stat edit, go to the top, clear enter, then go over, go to the top, clear enter. All right, 33.46, 50.68, 87.92, 98.84, 63.60, 107.34, 5.55, 8.08, 17, 12, and 16. All right, so I did my Germex, I did my stat edit. So now I'm going to do my Zoom 9. So Zoom 9, that's what it looks like. Then I'm going to do my stat calc, linear regression. Now, what we didn't do for the last problem, which we need to do, is we need to say, is this a good linear relationship? So we need to look at, which I can go back and get it, but we need to look at this little table right here. Copy, and I'll do it on this one, and then I'll go back and do it on the other one. For some reason, I didn't have that. How many pieces of data do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces of data. So we are looking here. So this is what we're comparing our R value to. So my R value is 0.828, and the critical R value is 0.811. So is this a good linear relationship?
Yes.
Yes. It is a good linear relationship, which means I would trust this equation. Okay? Now, if I go back to the last one for just a second, I didn't do this one on the last one. Let me paste. The last one had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces of data. So that critical value is 707. So my R value is 874. Their R value is 707. So is that one a good linear relationship?
Yes.
And that one would be yes as well. Okay, so let me come back down to this one. So we typed it in, we've looked at it, we've worked it out, we've determined the R value. If I want to know my equation would be 149x minus 0.347. Cool? Now, they want me to do a prediction of $100. Well, before I can do my prediction, I've got to suck over that equation. So, let's go to the sucking over part. Where do I need to go first?
Why
To the y equals, because that's where I'm putting it. Now, I'm sucking over a variable equation, so I go to vars. Where do I go next? Number 5, because I'm sucking a statistic equation over. Then I go to EQ because it's an equation, and I hit enter because it's a regression equation. Yay? So, I don't know what I just did, but I just sucked over the linear regression equation. I went to y equals, I went to vars, I went to number 5, which was statistics, I went over to EQ, and then I went to regression equation, which was number 1. Then, if I want to, I can do Zoom 9 just to look at it and see that line all up in the mix of the data. And finally, I need to make my prediction. Where do I go to make my prediction? Second table. And what number am I predicting? 100. So, if I get a meal for $100, if my meal is $100, how much tip should I leave? $14.51. Cool? Feeling better about this. And I'm not going to ask you to do, this is one entire problem. I'm not going to ask you to do one entire problem. I may just say, give me the scatter plot and stop. Or I may say, give me the R value and stop. This is the most that I will ask you to do for any one problem. All right, so that was, yeah.
Why the number is always different?
For you and me?
Yeah.
Is your, let me look at your data. Let me see it. Okay, let me go to stat.